Alright, so a while ago I did a video which was called 5 tips to improve your Street Fighter 6 game, or something like that. I've forgotten the exact wording, but I did a video a few months back, which I'll link in the description, I guess, which was designed to be like 5 tips for medium to high level players to take their games to the next level, you know. The things that separate a good player from a great player, that kind of stuff. And I've got this is basically the sequel to that. I've got 5 more tips for you. That's the goal today. So, the very first thing I'm going to talk about is Perfect Parry DI Starter, which doesn't make sense when I say it out loud by itself. But a lot of people know that if you perfect parry a DI, you can counter with a DI back. So let me just show you what I mean. So let's say I happen to perfect parry a drive impact. Like that. A lot of people have now realized that if this does happen, you can start the punish after the DI with your own DI. And the reason this is good is because perfect parry combos are always going to be scaled super heavily regardless of what you do. But the important detail is that even though the damage is being scaled, the damage to your opponent's drive gauge doesn't get scaled. So if you start the punish with DI, you take 1.5 bars of drive gauge because it's a punish. This is a punish counter DI. So that's kind of the bit that a lot of people already know. A lot of people know that you can do perfect parry and then a DI on a DI. Like that's the bit that most people know. But what a lot of people don't do and haven't labbed is that there's actually tons of moves in this game which, if you perfect parry, you do have enough time to start the punish with a DI. It's not just on another DI. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. And the reason that I'm against Luke is just to show you one of them. So, Luke's full charge heavy flash knuckle is a fairly common move to see in matches. Luke players will try and catch you sleeping and give themselves plus frames with this thing. Now, if you manage to perfect parry this thing, a lot of people will just start a punish like that. But they don't know that Luke's heavy flash knuckle actually does have enough recovery that you get a punish counter DI on it on perfect parry. So you still get the nice little combo afterwards, but you also do a big chunk of your opponent's drive gauge in damage from it. And I've got a little list here of like moves which you can punish with perfect parry into DI. I'll show you a few of them. Let's just do a few examples. This isn't the full list of every move. I encourage people to go into training mode and test some stuff, because I'm sure there's lots in the game, way more than I've labbed. This is just like 5 seconds of prep before the stream and ones that I know about. So another common one is JP's light and medium spin. So a lot of JP players like to end strings with like a normal into light spin or a normal into medium spin. And this happens quite a lot. You'll see players intentionally or accidentally perfect parrying the spin. But once again, a lot of people don't know this is also a guaranteed DI after perfect parry. I think the way to figure it out is if you look at a move from a frame data perspective, and the sum of the active frames and the recovery frames is greater than 26 frames, then I think you get a guaranteed DI punish after a perfect parry. I don't think this works on heavy. I think this only works on light and medium, so be a little bit careful. Yeah, this doesn't work on heavy. This is light and medium only, but you can identify which version it is during the perfect parry freeze. And the animation is slightly slower, and the voice clip is different. So, be careful on that one. It's light and medium only. What's some other ones I got here? Ah, Lily. This is a particularly good one. So, even at high level in this game, I've seen lots of examples of people sort of, sometimes accidentally, sometimes intentionally, perfect parrying EX Condor Spire. Like this. And if you parry the first hit, that's also a guaranteed DI. Be careful with this one as well, because if you parry it from further out, it's not guaranteed. But up close, if you parry the first of the 3 hits, you do get a DI punish afterwards. This one's particularly good because Lily's using 2 bars of drive gauge for the EX Condor Spire. And because you're punishing with punish counter DI, you can do DI into DI like that. So Lily loses 2 bars of drive gauge for the EX Condor Spire. Then she loses 1.5 bars of drive gauge for the punish counter DI. Then she loses another bar of drive gauge for the second DI. So if you can get that punish, you can take away 4.5 bars of drive gauge from Lily from one perfect parry, which is arguably way stronger than doing like a max damage combo. One last one I'll show off. Another common perfect parry DI punish. Blanker Ball. This one's a little bit trickier because after the perfect parry, you have to actually micro walk. I think this is a bit variable from character to character. It depends on your DI hitbox, as you see there. Certainly with Aki, if you micro walk for a few frames and then DI, you get the punish counter, and then you can do, you know, whatever combo afterwards. Perfect parry into DI has actually a surprising amount of real utility in games, and it lets you destroy your opponent's drive gauge while still getting a good punish. So I recommend everyone do some studying about how to use that. Okay, tip number 2 on my list over here. This is a thing that I point out in almost every fighting game that I play, and Street Fighter players are the worst at it. Stun combo meter optimization. What the fuck does that mean? Let me explain. I still see top level competitive players not get this right. This one drives me nuts when I'm watching a stream. Alright, let's say this situation happens. The opponent is close to death, they're burned out, and they get DI'd, and they're in this situation. I want to throw a brick at my screen when I see top players do this. That drives me nuts. Right there, that. Starting a stun combo when the opponent has very low health with a heavy normal or a jump in that just instantly kills. It's so suboptimal. Like this one I've seen world-class players do, and I can't stand it. So for those who don't know, let me just switch the meters around. So if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I'm just gonna save a state here. If I kill with jump heavy kick, do you see how I only get like a tiny amount of meter? So I got a little bit from the DI, so we're starting from there. And if I now kill with a heavy, I get maybe, I don't know, 10% of a bar out of that. Now, the rules are pretty consistent for most characters. Generally, what it is if you have a command grab, use your command grab. If you don't have a command grab, use a regular throw. These things build by far the most meter. There's a couple of character-specific exceptions. I think DJ might be able to do his, like, taunt that builds bar. I'm not 100% certain about that, but certainly in Aki's case, look at the difference this makes. Look how much bar she builds from doing her command grab. So rather than building, like, I don't know, 1/10 of a bar after the DI, by doing command grab here, I still get the kill. And I build probably about 30% of a bar, which could be the difference between life and death in the next round, assuming there are more rounds. So please, I'm begging players, think more about the things that you do after stun. You can do throws, you can do command grabs, but just do not do like a jab or a heavy punch, because you are throwing free meter in the trash. Okay. That's number 2. Okay, number 3. This is kind of less about like in-game tech and more about thought processes and risk-reward. But getting hit on purpose to avoid burnout is, I think, an important high-level strategy to learn in this game. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of like real-world in-game examples. Alright, so consider a situation like this. This is the situation I'm setting up. You've got about 2.5 bars of drive gauge. You've just been hit by JP's critical art. You are now dangerously close to burnout. And JP does not get, like, true Oki here. He can't, like, dash up and press a button. But he can do projectile Oki. So a ton of JP players, if I just switch it around. Alright, I've switched it around because it's easier to show from the JP side. So, if I save the state here, I'm gonna pause it right here. So your wait... What the fuck? Okay, weird graphical glitch. I don't know what that's all about. I might have to re-record this because that's going to distract the shit out of me. Why is there a gooey spike appearing when I reload the save state? Pause. What is that all about? Pretend you didn't see that. Alright, let's try that. Okay, there we go. So, back to the main thing. You will often see something like this. The JP player will go for a meaty spike on the knockdown. And in this situation, letting yourself get hit on purpose by the meaty spike is actually probably the better play. Because you will get knocked down, you will lose 1,000 health, but importantly, you will not lose any drive gauge and your drive will start to recover. And in this game, drive gauge is everything. If you wake up and block the spike here, you've probably just lost the entire round. Because now you're in burnout full screen against JP and he can just spend the next 30 seconds ruining your life, chipping the shit out of you, and just generally being JP. This obviously is character specific and situation specific, but this is a thing that you start to see as this game has progressed. When people are very close to burnout and you have health to spare, there's lots of situations where it is actually optimal to let yourself get hit and sacrifice a bit of health in order to avoid burnout. Something to be aware of. You'll see it at high level. You'll sometimes wonder, why is that guy just getting hit by projectiles all day, every day? Look at the drive gauge. They might be doing it on purpose. Or they might suck at the game. One of the two. Okay, number 4. This is kind of similar to number 3. Again, this is I've written down allowing yourself to know when a round is unwinnable, which is another important thing about this game. Let me construct another situation for you guys. Another example that, again, this is the kind of thing that will happen a lot in this game. Let's say this happens. It's the first round of the set. You've just been unlucky, or you've just been red, and the first round has been a disaster. You're close to burnout. No, you're in burnout. You're close to death, and your opponent is about to take the first round. Now let's say that I know, because I've played this JP player before, I know this JP is going to go for this. He's going to try and stun me with normal into DI, because I know I've got the read. I know exactly what he's going to do. How do I interrupt that? How do I interrupt this string? And the answer that you'll get from a lot of like low to mid, even sort of like mid-high level players is level 1 super. If the Aki player does their level 1 super here, they will interrupt. This level 1 is a spectacular misplay on the part of the Aki player, because they still are in a horrible position. They are still cornered. They are still in burnout, and it'll be very easy for the JP to just end the round with another either chip damage or another DI. And because you spent the 1 bar of super, you're now going into round 2 in an even worse position. The way that I like to think about it is like, if you spend that level 1, your chances of winning the round goes from like 1% to 5% maybe, if you get very lucky. And in exchange for that, your chances of winning the entire set go down from, say, 50% to 20% because you've wasted a bar of super. So it's one of those things where Street Fighter 6 really does have situations where you have to be okay with letting yourself lose a round. Because if you spend the level 1 here, you've probably not only lost this round, but there's a very good chance you've lost the entire match. Just on that one decision. So meter management across rounds is very important, and you have to be okay with just accepting sometimes this round is over. even though I know my opponent is going to go for a meaty or a DI, and I could wake up level 1, it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. Another thing to keep in mind. Sometimes it is better to die, exactly. And the final one, I'm gonna start off by not explaining what the final one is, but I'm gonna ask chat a question. I'm gonna set up a little experiment for chat. All right, so here's the situation. I'm in the corner against this Lily player. I'm gonna give you guys the context of the situation, and I'm gonna respond to it with a certain sequence. And the question I have for chat is, what did I do wrong here? This is basically what I'm going to get towards. So, this is the situation. I counter the DI. I do that. What did I do wrong? Or I guess the question is not, what did I do wrong? The question is, where could I have improved? Because a lot of high-level play isn't really about mistakes so much as suboptimal decision-making. Spending 3 bars there is not a good idea. No. Scaled the drive damage. No DI to burn him out. I would have saved the meter. Level 3 earlier. There it is. Sooner level 3 to burn out the opponents. Pain Black and Neos Gaming. 10 points to both of you. So, because I extended the combo here, because I autopiloted and did my full BMB into level 3, Lily had time to recover a bit of drive gauge. But if I go straight into a level 3 here and sacrifice a little bit of combo damage, this level 3 will now immediately burn out, and in case you haven't already noticed, this is basically a checkmate. Specifically for Aki, this one, because Aki's burnout pressure is so busted. So something like that. So this is something I want to talk about, which is that too many people, when they're playing this game, are not thinking enough about damaging the opponent's drive when it comes to combo routing. Too many people will land a hit and just go straight for their max damage combo, when there's lots of situations where if you're paying attention, you want to dump the super as early as possible to get your opponent in burnout rather than let them recover, because during long combos, opponents have a lot of time to recover. Like if I go for a max damage here, something like this, or like a drive rush extension, throughout that entire combo, my opponent is regenerating drive, and what went from a guaranteed burnout is now half a bar of drive, and they're full screen. So I guess that's what I'm getting at here. This again is a bit character specific. Some characters are perfectly happy to leave the opponent close to burnout, but not actually in burnout. It depends on like Oki after level 3 for some characters. But yeah, don't just autopilot your combos. Don't just go max damage every single time. Sometimes the optimal play is to cut out about 20% damage from your combo in exchange for the early level 3 into burnout. So yeah, plan your combos more. Aim to burn your opponent out. Anyway, that's my 5 tips for taking your Street Fighter game to the next level. If you found any of them useful, please hit that sub button, and I will see you guys in the next video.